Hey guys, we're in front of our warehouse in San Diego today. Today we're going to do another installation. We're going to install our J2 outboard kit on a Hobie Compass using our power pole adapter. So when you buy your J2 outboard kit, you get this box with your motor, battery, charger, kill switch, and remote. And of course you have to buy your adapter depending on what kind of kayak or paddleboard you've got. Today, again, we're going to do our power pole adapter on a Hobie Compass. The only thing we need in addition to this for this particular kayak is the power pole plate from Hobie. Okay, so this is going to go on, so it allows us to get that power pole plate on there because the Hobie doesn't come pre-drilled for those power pole plate holes. So the first thing I'm going to do is walk you through the J2 outboard kit and show you what comes with your outboard kit. Then I'm going to open everything laid out on the table and then we'll start the installation. So here we go. There's your J2 box when you order it. When you open your box, you've got your quick start guide here. Please read the quick start guide. It teaches you how to sync your remote to your battery if you need to. It teaches you how to start the motor without your remote if that's the case, if you need to do that. You do get our Bixpy decal, our PP 378 batteries in there. You got your charger, your remote. Under your remote is a little bit of dielectric grease that'll help you get better connections on your battery from your motor. You have your kill switch. You do have a small Allen key here to open the back of that shroud if you want to put the weed grill on there or if you need to clean your propeller. And of course, you get your J2 motor. And the nuts and bolts are either on the J2 motor already or they could be under your remote in a little bag depending on when you get your shipment. So I'm going to lay everything out and start the installation. All right, so we've got everything laid out on the table. All the stuff in our J2 kit is here. We got our motor, we got our battery, kill switch, and remote. I'm going to show you how all that works. We have our Hobie Compass power pole plate laid out here with the nuts and bolts that ships with that package. We're not going to need all of that. We're going to need some of those nuts and bolts, but not all of them, because we're not putting a micro anchor on this kayak, obviously. And then all the stuff that comes with your power pole adapter is here. So you've got your power pole plate, you've got your vertical pipe that attaches the motor to it. Then you have a variety of nuts and bolts. We have our pipe locking mechanism on here as well, pull cord, our thumb screws. I'm going to install all this from scratch and show you guys how that's all done. So that's good and easy. One thing to notice is just when we were off camera here, I did put a grass grill on our motor just to show you guys that. So that's not the grill that normally comes with the motor. That's a grill you put on there if you're in a place where it's weedy or if you've got small pebbles and rocks that can get in there and damage your propeller or slow you down or jam your propeller. We have lots of that obviously off the coast of San Diego in the Pacific. Lots of places water is clear, so you don't need to lose any power by putting that on your motor. You can just use the standard grill that comes on your motor. But that is an option you can purchase. So let's get started. So as with everything else we do, we try to keep the tools to a minimum. So you don't need a lot of tools to do this. You do need a Phillips screwdriver. You need some sort of adjustable wrench. It makes it easy. And I do have a 1/4 inch and a 7mm socket wrench here. You don't, again, necessarily need these. If you've got the adjustable wrench, it's good enough, but this makes life a little bit easier. And then I need something to snip my zip ties with later. So I've got this little wire cutter here. The first thing we want to do is we want to start off by getting our power pole plate onto the Hobie plate right away, because if we don't do this, we won't be able to do this later. So the first thing we do is get this plate on here, and then we get the whole thing onto the kayak. And to do that, we're going to use the nuts and bolts that came shipped with our J2 adapter and not the Hobie ones, because those will work better for this. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and we're going to speed this up so it's a little faster. So you'll notice that I'm hand tightening everything first. We don't want to get this too tight before we got everything on. Just makes life easier that way. And you'll also notice we do have some extra spacers and washers that I'm not going to use in this application, but you may need these spacers. If you do this is the same installation on a Hobie Outback, you'll need these spacers because the Outback has a slightly shallower installation profile. So I'm going to tighten those up. I'm going to put these away so the wind doesn't blow everything away. Today's a windy day in San Diego. All right, guys, so we have now our power pole plate attached to the Hobie power pole adapter for the Hobie Compass. Now the next thing to do is install this onto the Hobie Kayak. So let's go do that. All right, so as we said, we've got our plate attached to the Hobie plate, and we're gonna come over here now. And if you look at this, you'll see that there are 4 holes actually. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So Hobie uses these 2 inserts for the secondary holes on this plate. Okay, so we're gonna pop off the little placeholders. You can do that with your nail or with a flathead screwdriver. Then we're gonna take this off. Now we're gonna keep our iPad and our handle because we're gonna try and install that back on there. And you'll notice that these 2 small screws, you're gonna have to replace with 2 slightly longer screws of the same size that came in your pack, just because now you're going over that plate and over the power pole thing there. So we're going to keep our iPad and we're going to start out here, and initially we're going to do things fairly loosely. We don't want to tighten things too much, so we put the round-headed screws on the front here, closer to the front of the kayak. And there are other nuts and bolts inside the Hobie package plate, but we're not using those. We sort of chose to use our nuts and bolts instead. And again, these 2 guys go with your iPad here. Now you may or may not want to use this handle anymore. I'm going to keep the handle on here. It is a little bit in the way, but it works, so it's fine. We can use the handle. It is a little bit tough to get in there, but it's definitely doable. So I'm going to see if I can get my finger in there first and just hand tighten this. There we go. Just going to give it a couple of spins. You really don't want to tighten anything at this point because you really need to move things around to find your inserts. So, okay, now all 4 screws are in, so I'm going to start tightening this guy down. Now again, you know, you can keep that handle and it's fine. It's going to just tuck in there like that. But this plate and adapter are so well put on there now, you can actually lift the entire kayak with the adapter. So it's nice and sturdy on there now. So our plate's on. So next thing we're going to do, get our pipe on there. Then we're going to install our motor. We're set, guys. So we're almost there. All right, so now we've got our plate on. We're going to put our vertical pipe onto the adapter. And that's very simple. We've got 2 very easy thumb screws that get attached. Now remember, guys, also once you have this on here, it's very easy to take your motor off now. You can leave this plate and just simply take the motor and your pipe away when you're done kayaking. So you don't have to take this off here anymore. This can actually stay on your kayak. So there's our vertical pipe. Vertical pipe clips onto this clip here. Okay, that clip is a little bit tight, and the reason it's so tight is so when you're doing reverse, it doesn't kick out. But if you do hit something hard, it kicks out and it saves your motor from getting damaged. So there's our clip. We have our vertical pipe. One more piece of equipment here we've got is, if you notice now, this pipe right now can spin. So if you want to use our pole steering, or if you want to use our V-arm steering or some other steering option, you're able to do that and spin your motor. And in this kayak, we've got a nice rudder, so we don't need this pipe to spin. So we do have a locking mechanism that we include in that kit. And that locking mechanism, I'm going to kick this up, that locking mechanism is going to go right above our pipe here. Okay. I've got my Allen key here that comes in the kit as well, so we're going to tighten that up a little bit. We're not going to make this too tight because we do need to adjust it, and we need to know when we're perpendicular to the kayaks. So we're just going to tighten it enough. I'm going to take out the pin, and right now we are good to go. So we're going to lock it down again and keep that same position. and start tightening those bolts. Okay. Once these bolts are nice and tight, that pipe is no longer going to spin as long as you have that pin in place. So that's it. We've got our vertical pipe now. Now we're almost ready to put our motor on. Just one last thing. You'll notice on this pipe right now, you can turn the pipe sort of 270 degrees almost. That is to allow you to actually turn the pipe if you're on a kayak that doesn't have a rudder, or if you want to get better turning radius from your kayak. In this case, we're going to lock this pipe down and we're going to use our rudder to turn the kayak, because we do have a nice rudder on there that's going to do the job for us. So with that, we do have a locking mechanism that ships with the adapter. Okay, so all we're going to do is we're going to install this locking mechanism right above our lower pipe clip on the adapter. So I'm going to take this out like so. This goes right above our pipe clip, and I'm just holding on to that little locking mechanism there. So we don't want to make this too tight until we know that the motor is going to be perpendicular to the kayak. So we're just going to very gently close this up. Then we're going to put the pipe clip in its place. Okay, but before we tighten these, we're going to make sure that this is perpendicular to your kayak. So right now, because I haven't tightened it, it's still spinning. So we're going to make sure we're perpendicular to the kayak. Once we're perpendicular, then we can start tightening these guys up. And now you're not turning because you're locked in. Now, if you did want to install one of our steering options, again, you can pull this clip out and your pipe is going to be turning again. Okay, so that's it. That's your locking mechanism. Now we're ready to put our motor on. So the last thing we need to do now is put our motor onto our adapter, and then we're done. So that's quite easy. We have 4 nuts and bolts that came with the motor. We're going to put them on there. We're going to run our wire. You can run your wire to either side. I'm just choosing to do it to this side. To make these a little bit easier, you can put these in a crossed. So this one first, maybe this one second, and then we'll do this one, and then we'll do the last one here. You may need to use a screwdriver to drive one of these guys in, which is what I'm going to do on this last one here. Okay, then we have our bolts. So you do want to make sure these are nice and tight, because this is what's holding your motor to your adapter. Once that's done, your motor is now on your adapter. The last thing that's left to do is to tie your cord to this pipe, because you don't want your cord dangling. So we've got these really nifty zip ties and pipe clamps. I'm just going to use 2 of them. 2 of them typically suffice. So we're going to get these guys here. Let me close up here so we can see this. But that goes around your wire, and then the zip tie goes through this. And just before you tighten it, you can sort of adjust where you want it. I want one right about there. And I'm going to put another one right below my clip here. Again, this goes on the wire first. This goes through. Then your zip tie goes on there. That's nice and clean. And finally, I get to use my wire cutter to snip off the extras. And then from there, you can tie your wire to your adapter if you like, if you want to keep it nice and clean. But remember, if you do that, when you do take this off, then your wire is still going to be attached to the adapter. But as far as that goes, the installation is not complete. We have our motor, we have our locking mechanism in place. Again, if you did want to steer this and add our V-arm or pull steering to the kayak, then you can do that, or you can have it locked in. We do have our pull cord that will go on top here to this eyelet. So if you do want to pull this up, that'll come right up. And there is a clamp cleat that you would attach to your kayak if you don't already have one on your kayak, so you can lock the motor down and have it out of the way and out of the water. The one last thing to note is if you do want your kayak, okay, sorry, I'm going to start again. The one last thing to note is if you do want your motor to be a little bit deeper or shallower in water, depending on what kind of water you're in, you can adjust the height of the motor with these two pipe clamps. So you can open these, move the motor up or move it down, and then go through this whole, and you can do that now and you can do that at the beginning of the installation, it doesn't matter. You want the top of your motor to be about 3 inches below the water line. If you're in wavier water, if you're in rough water, then you want it to be a little bit deeper. And if you're very calm water, of course, you can be a little bit higher. But if you notice you're cavitating and the motor is sucking in air, then you want to drop the motor down a little bit. Right now, I'm happy with where I am. I'm just below the rudder. I could probably be a little bit higher, but I'm going to leave it there. Now we're going to put my battery on the back of the kayak, show you guys how to hook that up, and we're done with the installation. All right, now that we have our motor installed, last thing left to do is to connect our motor to our battery, our PP378 here. You'll notice there are 3 connectors on the back. You have your charging port, your auxiliary port for 12 and 5 volt outputs, and we have our main power cords, and that's the one we're going to connect to. So when you open that, you'll notice there are 5 pins in there, 2 big ones and 3 small ones, which will correspond to your motor connector. And there are also 2 small tabs here on your blue nut on your connector that will need to go into the 2 notches that are on your battery connector. Okay, we're going to put a little bit of dielectric grease in there, and that dielectric grease really just prevents corrosion of those pins, and it helps the mating process to some degree. Not much, just a little bit will do. Dielectric grease is available on our website if you need more. So now we're going to put that connector in there, making sure we match those tabs. And once those tabs match, you'll notice that connector will push right in. And then we're going to need to spin that 175 degrees or so, and you'll feel it click into place once it's mated properly. You can store your battery in the back of your kayak. You can take it under your seat if you like. And we do have extension cords you can purchase if you want to take it up to the front. Your kill switch goes on the battery to turn everything on. Once you have your kill switch on, you'll notice that your battery status indicator will tell you how much battery you've got. You got 6 LEDs there. And if you hit the stop button on your remote, you'll know that you're mated to your battery. You'll have 12 speeds forward and 3 speeds in reverse. You can run the motor for a second in the air just to confirm that you're running, but typically you don't want to run your motor in air. You want it to be in water so it's cool as it's running. One more thing I forgot. I did have this handy. So just in case you're asking, of course there's links below and you can look at the installation for this. You can install the motor on our Mirage drive adapter as well, and you can replace your Mirage adapters with a Bixpy Jet. It's fast, it's easy, and of course that plugs into your battery, and you've got a motorized pedal drive now. So that's another option on this kayak. I prefer it on the back because I get to keep my foot pedals, but if you just want to get from A to B, that's definitely an option. So, and that's the end of the video now.